relationships has way more to do with trust than skills or talents. Trust is an integrity test. Integrity is how strong is the structure when there's pressure put on it. It's easy to have a great relationship with your leader in the good times, but what about that time when things are dark or it's frustrating or you misunderstood something? Will it withstand the integrity test?
Welcome to the Leading Second Podcast, a space to help church leaders thrive in the second chair. The Leading Second Podcast releases every Thursday morning, so hit subscribe and share this with your team. Now let's jump into another episode for all of us who lead from the middle.
Hey, welcome to Leading Second Podcast. My name is Larry Brey, and normally you'd be seeing Brandon Stewart, the man who runs this whole thing, but he tagged us in today. And so I get the distinct privilege of running this episode with one of the giants of the faith, one of the men I look up to, Mr. Nate Puccini.
Man, come on. I'm here with LB, my hero, my mentor. I'm so excited. This is going to be fun, man. We're going to have some fun today.
This is going to be fun. Now, if you're new to Leading Second, this is all a space where we try to create some content for people that find themselves kind of in that second chair, sitting in that kind of middle of the pack, trying to lead whatever organization or church they're a part of. And so our hope is that you would find something today to encourage you, to challenge you, and make you jump up a little bit higher because of what God's put inside of you. So Nate, I've been looking forward to asking you this stuff. There's a bunch of questions I want to ask you. But first, I need to ask this. Honestly, who is your favorite football team of all time?
Oh, my goodness. LB, I'm talking to you. I want to honor you. Honor is important to me. So, hey, let's go Minnesota Vikings. I live in Minneapolis, so I'm going to go with my hometown team. I was born in Kansas City, so I got a good backup plan.
Yep.
With my Chiefs. If they're doing so well, I'm looking for an underdog, and I think it's our year, man. If we ever get a quarterback, it'll be our year. So.
And I ask that because you are in the great state of Minnesota, leading at an incredible church, Substance Church, right there, multi-site church in Minneapolis. And being from Minnesota myself, you even see it reflected in my office, the purple that is flying all over the place.
Yes.
We won't talk about Kirk Cousins. That'll be for another podcast. But today we want to jump in talking about ministry. Nate, for those that might not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about the church you're part of and what you're doing in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I'm at Substance Church, and just an honor. It's at my church home. I was in business for many years, for 13 years, and someone invited me to this random church in the city called Substance Church. I showed up, and the rest is history. I get to now lead as executive pastor and chief of staff, overseeing our staff, overseeing our studios, and then all of our leadership projects that we're doing. So I get to serve my pastors, Pastor Peter and Carolyn Haas, that planted this church going on 20 years ago this year. So super excited.
On 20 years?
20 years. It's our 20-year anniversary, man. We're getting old. We're feeling it.
That's ridiculous. And you've been a part of how many years at Substance?
15 years at Substance. My wife and I came here when Substance is almost 5 years old and haven't left. Been here every single day. It's my church. I love it.
Wow. Tell us about the first time you walked into Substance. What was it like?
Yeah, a guy invited me to church, and service started at 9 a.m. and came in, and there was a guy rapping on stage and there was a DJ on stage. So a little different approach to church than how I grew up. And it was kind of dark in there, and they came in and the worship was alive. And there was this guy named Peter Haas preaching that Sunday, and he was the most excited pastor I've ever seen. Kind of one part stand-up comedian, one part research nerd, another part pastor, preacher. And so it was crazy. It was a crazy experience, and I was all in. So
I don't know if I've ever met a pastor who oozes more creative substance than your pastor.
Hey, we have more vision than our resources could ever keep up with. And that is how we want to keep it. And it is my greatest privilege to serve Pastor Peter and Carolyn Haas. They lead, they're people of integrity, humility. I get to see the inner workings of their whole life, from family to finances to how they lead the church. And, I grew up a pastor's kid. And one thing I know about about being a pastor's kid, about my own parents, what I see in the Haas's is they're the same people at church that they are in their home. And that authenticity is pure, not perfect, but it's an honor to see the type of authenticity, integrity, and character they possess. And for me, it makes it really easy to honor them and serve them in my seat. I work for them, and that's my greatest honor. I serve the Haas's. I tell them, hey, you going somewhere else? Let's go. Let's go with you. You can't get rid of me. So.
Now, there might be some people watching this podcast who might not have that same access to see their pastor behind the scenes. So even if you take us back, what did you do, or how did you get into that space? Were you able to like step into some of those spaces? How did they trust you to invite you into those spaces in their life?
You know, I think I learned early on to be mentored, which really Pastor Peter's my mentor. To be mentored, you have to be busy mentoring others. You reap what you sow. You can't expect to get something that you're not investing in. I think a lot of people are like, why doesn't my pastor invite me into their life? Why don't they give me time and attention? And I've learned over the years, what are you doing to actually earn the right to be mentored? And
come on.
So for me, Pastor Peter was someone that I looked up to. And early on, he taught me this lesson. Nate, what are your dreams? He was trying to pull that out of me. Who's living out your dreams, and what are you doing to earn the right to be around that person? And I told him, hey, it's you. I want to be in ministry. I know that God has that for my life, and so I began to really invest in him and his family.
Yeah.
I began just studying their life. One thing I did when I first came to Substance is I just went back and I watched every single sermon and every single audio clip, any teaching they had. I read his books, and I just began to binge and obsess over the content that he had put out, to be a student of him, and started learning rhythms of life. I know that, hey, I know what their days off look like. I know how they vacation. I know how they rest. I know their personality types. I've studied those personality types. I've studied how those personality types interact with my personality. And I just became a student of my leader so that I could actually learn how to access the brilliance that was in them. Both my leaders are both introverts. And so I understand that being an introvert, I understand just kind of how they think, how they roll. Now, 15 years later, I think we're in a better rhythm of that, and life is more integrated. But early on, it was really just, I think, serving, expecting nothing in return except to glean and make yourself better. And then ultimately God opened up the doors to have a deeper, more connected relationship. And I think through that, trust was built. And trust is leadership. Relationships has way more to do with trust than skills or talents.
Ooh, say that.
I mean, for me,
say that again. I'm sorry. I
think leadership relationships have way more to do with trust than skills or talents any day of the week. I think over time,
great.
I learned that, hey, maybe I'm only a one talent man that has my gifts that are limited, but the ability to trust trust is an integrity test. Integrity is how strong is the structure when there's pressure put on it.
Yep.
And I remember hearing about these skyscrapers built in Tokyo, and can they withstand a tsunami? Can they withstand an earthquake? And that really is the test of integrity. And it's easy to have a great relationship with your leader in the good times, but what about that time when things are dark, or it's frustrating, or you misunderstood something? Will it withstand the integrity test? And over time, building trust is something that's proven day after day, year after year, and now decade after decade. It's not proven in just moments of great idea. So
Nate, I love it. You said, what am I doing to earn the right to be mentored?
Yeah.
I love that. For anybody listening to this, that's just a great question to reflect on. Am I living in such a way? Because we're living in a world that people are saying, I want to be developed. And they're showing up with a blank piece of paper and a notebook, but they don't realize that's not development.
Yeah.
Development is you bring something in for us to talk about, and I put stress on you, and I bring a tsunami along, and we see how the structures of your life hold up, and that kind of space.
It's a great paradox of mentorship. I'm working a lot now. I'm on that with ULB. I know you're a strong Gen Xer, and you represent that generation. I relate well to the Gen Xers as kind of a borderline Gen Xer millennial. My whole life and leadership with my business, I employed thousands of millennial males, basically, in a sales business that I ran for many years. And I felt like I understood how they thought about the world, their idealisms and their arrogance. And now, hey, all those millennials are just got a lot of debt and little kids. And I'm still managing a lot of them. But now with the Gen Z generation, which I really am excited about, it's so hopeful. But I'm helping them understand the paradox of mentorship. Mentorship is earning the right. And it's putting yourself in proximity of multiple people that you can glean something from that's going to build integrity in who you're becoming as a leader. And so, I bleed passion for my pastors. And so we're ride or die here at Substance.
Wow. I think that's one of the things that in getting to know you that I resonated is you represent your pastor so well. You have their back. You're there with them. You're invested in the ministry. You're not looking for the next thing. You're not building a resume to piece out to something, but you're really there. And so thank you for doing that in the kingdom. I got a couple of specific questions I want to ask you, because in this series of podcasts that we're doing, we want to ask a bunch of different types of leaders in different settings, some similar questions to see what we can discover from them. Let me ask you a first question. What is the first thing you do each morning and why?
I'll be 43 this year. So ibuprofen is our first thing in the morning. And why is because of inflammation. But honestly, my Pastor Carolyn, she's so passionate about worship. And we just are such a culture of worship music here at Substance. My pastor, Peter, he writes music and obsessed with music. And of course, there's this church called Elevation Church that puts out some great worship. And so every morning I have to, this is for my mindset. I start with worship music.
Wow.
And many times my kids or my wife, they walk in, it's a blaring worship song to get my heart right and move into a time of prayer and being in my word. And a lot of times for me, we're not an early morning culture at Substance. I want to give permission for leaders to reflect the heart of who your leaders are. My pastors are night owls, and many of my best conversations with my pastors happen at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wonderful.
Text message. And so we start a little later. So we're not 6 a.m. prayer, we're 11 a.m. prayer, but hey, we're consistent and committed to that. But we do I start my day with prayer and then with worship. And then I move into God's word and been obsessing over the book of Acts right now.
Okay.
And just we are the continuation of the book of Acts, and read it every day, the whole book every day so far this month. And just getting into that, studying it again this morning. So
what I heard you say was, I need to become who they need me to be.
Exactly. That's
how many leaders, second chair leaders, worship their personality, and they say like, well, that's just not who I am, or that's not how I'm wired, and they can't become something else because they're kind of worshiping a version of who they've always been.
No, it's so good. I think learning not to project what you are onto your leaders is so important. I remember I was always praying, God, what role do you have for me in the church? That was always that big question. Some people call it calling. What's my calling?
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned with calling, I think I said this before. Let me say it again. I think I said it last time we talk, is calling is simply the fruit of your relationship with the Father. It is not
your relationship with the Father.
It's not something to pursue. It's not something that is a goal to get to. It's simply the outcome of how you live and commune with your Heavenly Father. And
wonderful.
I think changing that perspective and moving it to its right place will take the attention off of what I need to be by a certain time, or what I am in my gifts and talents and how people need to know that. And it's simply the outcome of how you live your life.
Yeah.
I also say you don't manage goals, you manage behaviors.
Yep.
And living that lifestyle out unto my pastors, I study my pastors to understand who they are and how can I best exemplify that throughout the organization. So I remember praying, God, what do you I'm a great business leader.
Yep.
I have a great business mind. I'm a strategist, all these things. Like, what do you have for me at Substance? And I remember the Lord just said, Nate, you are to be a facilitator and a contributor to the vision and mission that I've given your pastors.
Wonderful.
He said that to me before I ever started here. And I'm 11 years full-time on staff now, and I'm committed to that. That's my job description. for me, I'm a facilitator and a contributor to the vision and mission that God's given Pastor Peter and Carolyn. And that means 11 a.m. prayer. Let's go. Now, I'm happy that they're also night owls and not morning people. That would be a struggle, but
you'd become that. I'm firmly convinced that you would become that, and you would do it with the greatest of attitudes. You'd celebrate it.
It's an honor. It takes a lot of pressure. I think being a senior leader in my business for many years, I think I really did understand what it meant, the cost and the price of being the person at the head, the leader for my senior pastors. And they pay a bigger price than people understand. There's way more sleepless nights. There's way more tears cried. There's way more accusations and pain that come with that position. And I'm just thankful the Lord's allowed me to have that experience in my life so that I know how to steward being second and serving that.
Well, you said this. You said, I need to be a student of my leader. That's not kind of a one-time thing. I'm a perpetual student. I'm always studying my pastor. So for somebody who would be like, hey, Nate, that's great. What would be some subjects? What would be some buckets on how, or things I could look at to study my pastor? What would be some of those things?
Well, I think in the church world, we instantly go to theological positions or maybe how they preach, how they communicate. But for me, actually, one of the greatest accesses to my leaders' hearts is loving their children. And their kids, I've seen now, I've hired, their oldest daughter is now on staff with us. And I just hired her last year, and her husband are working with me in the worship ministry. And but I remember when I first met her, she's a 5-year-old girl in our church and just in our kids ministry, and getting to see her grow up. And now their second daughter will be coming on our team as well.
Come on.
And so just getting a chance to be integrated into the family life. I'm a pastor's kid. I grew up in the church. And so I know the cost on the family. I know the cost on what it means to be raised in the church and all the stuff that goes with that, the noise that goes with that. And so I've always just had a heart to serve my pastor's kids and to believe in the call of God on their life. And so that's it. Hey, there's a little trick for you. You want to get the access of a leader, get to their children and love their children, care for their children, invest in their children, and that God will unlock something uniquely and trust there. And so as people I deeply care about, their 3 kids, and they care about my kids, and just having that mutual submission to the process of legacy and who we're becoming is so important in who we were. And so that I know that they love having an American breakfast on Fridays, and they have their eggs over medium, and they both get toast and bacon with their American breakfast. So those are my pastors. They're very rigid and they in rhythm of their calendar and what they do. We've traveled together. We've shopped around the world. Pastor Peter and I have eaten at a Mexican restaurant in every major city we've ever gone to, from Shanghai to London, England, to Dublin, Ireland, to all these places. So just knowing
that Mexican in Dublin, Ireland.
Hey man, get some tacos in Dublin. So just knowing the heart of my leaders, from their personality quirks to their idiosyncrasies to their favorite hobbies, what they love to do. Is actually super important to me, because actually I know how to unlock them to their passions and their heart if I truly understand their desires. And so.
Yeah. So taking it back earlier, you said, I've got to earn the right to be mentored.
Yeah.
I earned that through being a really good student. I really bringing my whole heart to it. And so anybody who's wanting to serve their pastor better, what would it look like if you were just to kind of sit down and take an inventory, like, wow, what does my pastor like? What do they not like? What are their rhythms? When do they have the most energy? When is energy a little tougher for them? What are their best days of the week? And you actually start to pay attention to the patterns, and then you change the structure to fit the patterns of their life and when they got the most energy and what life looks like for them. And that's why you can be a church that says, hey, if it's 2 a.m. and we've got a text thread going and we're making calls, like,
let's go.
Because it's about advancing the kingdom.
Is in the kingdom, if your name was never the one in lights, if you weren't the pastor of the church, would you still be faithful?
We talk about being in alignment with our pastors all the time. Are you in alignment with your spouse?
If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself daily and follow me.
I've got to do ministry in a different way. I don't want to perform for him. I want to partner with him.
Leading Second Camp 2025. for church leaders and team members who lead from the middle, Dallas, Texas, and Calgary, Alberta. To find out more and to register, go to leadingsecondcamp.com.
Yeah, I think early on when I came on staff at Substance, it was in a season of transition, a lot of young staff, a lot of staff that were first time in ministry. They're very talented. One thing that I observed very quickly, because my pastors are very collaborative, they want everyone to thrive and be successful. One thing I never heard, though, that became very important to me is, Pastor Peter, what do you want to do? And that became a pretty common question, like, hey, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I realized just giving him permission to insert vision and insert direction really made him come alive to the call of God on his life. And one thing that I saw, when he's fully alive to the call of God on his life, our church tends to thrive the most.
Love it.
In the seasons that he's not, it slows things down, and I see stagnancy throughout the organization. And so I've always committed to that. Hey, Pastor Peter, what makes you come alive? What are you dreaming about? What are you passionate about right now? I remember for us early on, I would hear him consistently talk about EDM music. He actually was a rave DJ, got saved in a nightclub of all places, and
Come on.
gave his life to Christ. And he's very passionate about electronic dance music. And I'm like, what if we did that? What if we took that on the road? And God's hand fell on that, and we just saw our church thrive and surround around that. And
That's great.
it's just fun for me to see my leaders alive to the call of God on their life, and through that, I get to be alive to the call on my life.
Yeah, that's evident when in conversation with you, Nate. Like that comes shining through, and you serve as a great example of that, of what it means to be a great second chair leader. Let me give you a couple questions. Maybe a few of these would be a little bit of a rapid fire format. But what do you hope your pastor would say about you?
You know, I was thinking about that. One thing he said recently in front of our staff that was humbling, he said, in the same words that Paul said to Timothy, I have no one else like him, for he genuinely takes interest in the welfare of others. And that's humbling to hear him say that often to me, and something he reminds me of in text message, like, hey, Nate, I have no one else like you. And I think a lot of us want to be special like that. Yeah. But it doesn't end with that, but it has a direction towards the mission of the church, and caring about the body of Christ, and caring about the pastoring that we have in front of us. And so for me, I would say that's the greatest thing to hear from my pastor, that he views me like that, because I do view my life like a Timothy towards him, and want to be we all want dad to be proud of us, but for me, just to co-labor in ministry towards what we're seeing happen and seeing the miracles take place in our church is the greatest honor. Yeah. So him saying that, trust me, I'm happy. So,
well, but you didn't set out 15 years ago for that to be the goal.
Not at all. I think getting that to be the outcome, maybe in conversation, is maybe not something I work towards as a goal to achieve, but I think it's a beautiful expression of the relationship. And I want my pastor to, some people say to me in leadership, like, hey, I don't want to add noise to you. Sometimes that statement alone is noise. I want my life to be in so demonstration to my pastors about what we do together that question doesn't even have to come up. Yeah. I'm such a study and understanding their passion, what makes them come alive. And I think people are unaware that we serve a God that's way bigger and way more capable than we think at times. Yeah. And can pour out provision upon you. And ultimately, God does the promotion in our life. I think way too many young leaders are seeking promotion and opportunity over character and intimacy with the Lord. Love it. And I think the majority of what happens, we see at our church, are miracles of God and the Holy Spirit facilitating so much more. So
I love it. Well, and your heart is to serve people. That always has been. And my view from the outside, knowing you and Pastor Peter and Pastor Carolyn, is once you got connected to them, you found purpose for that desire you've always had in your heart. And I think for anybody watching this, some of you's really got that second chair spirit, that armor bearer spirit, who wants to serve up underneath their pastor. What you're laying out for them, Nate, is gold, in a way of like, wow, that doesn't have to be crazy or abnormal or weird, but you mean I can actually come alongside and encourage and help my pastors and hold their arms up? That's what we get a chance to do as second chair leaders. That's awesome. Another question, couple quick ones, and then we got to land this thing because I could take all day with you because you're gold, my friend. You speak in such resonance that I could like take clips from you and they would be gold. Like these statements you're giving us are gold for leaders. So please write this stuff down if you're watching this podcast. If you could stop doing something today or hand it off, what would it be?
Something I've worked a lot on actually more recently is I have a lot of experience serving my pastors and serving the church and serving out to the global church now because of them, because of the link credibility they've given me. And I always go on behalf of my pastors. I get to do that. I think my focus has been raising up leaders who can really be to the church population here at Substance who I've been as a pastor on their behalf. And so this last year has been developing a team of 9 leaders that are people that I've brought on our team and have developed over the last several years to take on roles and responsibilities. So this last year, funny enough, I've given away more roles than ever before. And that may be positions, opportunity, platform time to other leaders. And I'm just planning ahead and being proactive about that. And so really my job is giving away as many responsibilities as possible. But it's important that there's a minimum bar within our organization that's maintained and above the waterline skill sets that still contribute to the vision and mission. We're a large church with thousands of people that gather here. And so I can't hand things off too early and I can't dump. I think sometimes empowerment is a misused word within cultures and different cultural maybe interpretations. Empowerment to a person may mean they're giving me authority and autonomy. To us, it means empowerment simply means more responsibility. Empowerment means you can handle it to the level that we've handled it and taking care of a platform or taking care of a campus or a department or a leadership role or a budget. And so empowerment is giving you permission to execute within the values of the organization, not taking it the direction you want to go.
Within the values of the organization. That's super
important that we have these ways we do it at Substance. And there's things we do here. It's just the way we do it. And could you articulate and train others up in the ways that we value leadership and ministry and preaching and teaching and stuff?
Phenomenal. Hey, last question here, Nate. How do you define success in leading from the second chair?
Are my pastors fully alive to the call of God on their life?
Ooh.
And to me, it brings the greatest joy in my life. I reap the benefits of the call of God on their life. My family's life was completely transformed because they made a faithful decision to go plant a life-giving church.
Love it.
They started a life-giving church. I am the collateral blessing of that decision. And so them being fully alive to the call of God on their life ensures that many more will come into relationship with
Love it. Come on. That was incredible. Last thought here, Nate, I'll let you end our podcast with this thought here. A lot of different people are going to be watching this podcast. People in different seats in the bus, different size organizations. But I want you to take a second and think about the person out there who might be wondering, like, does what I do even matter? Does anybody even notice what I'm doing? And you get a minute, 90 seconds to speak something. And what do you tell that person, Nate?
Joy and peace is worth way more than any opportunity you'll ever get. And the Lord has a joy that is unspeakable for you. And he has a peace that surpasses all understanding. I have not met a single person, if they're in the church or not, that could use some more joy in their life, could use more peace in their life. And I promise you, every person is seeking peace. And my pastor reminds me often, even when we go through difficult things, when we're misunderstood, when we feel unseen, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. The Lord has a promise for you that is far greater than any circumstance or any amount of money or opportunity can provide. Listen, I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. I've been promoted and I've been in seasons of obscurity. And I promise you, God's peace is worth way more. His joy is worth way more than you understand. So seek his peace and look for his joy.
Wow. Nate, that was awesome. Thank you for all you do for the kingdom, for your pastors, and taking a few minutes out of your time to encourage everybody today through this podcast. We hope you've enjoyed Leading Second today. Want to thank Brandon and Lindsay for getting out in front and leading this tribe of uncommon leaders into this space.
And hey, if you find today's episode helpful and of value, I want to encourage you to head to leadingsecond.com/podcast and download the episode guide that we've created for today's episode. Feel free to use this with your team if you feel like this could help them. And hey, we would love it if you would help us make some noise about the podcast by sharing this with your team, by posting about this episode on social media, or even leaving a rating or review. It all helps us to build the tribe and move the ministry forward.
It is our honor to serve churches and leaders across the globe. We equip ministry leaders with the coaching, events, and resources needed to embrace their calling, get it right with their pastor, and lead in an uncommon way. Visit our website, leadingsecond.com, to learn how we can come alongside you as you lead from the middle, from the second chair, for the second chair.